In this exercise, we're going to prepare our scene to get it ready for our rendering. The first thing we need to consider is, where do we want to stand with our camera? Technically, we could do an interior rendering. The only thing is, though, is inside of this project, we've only placed lights in one room. So realistically, there's just not enough light inside of this space to be able to generate a very realistic or nice rendering. Since there's not really enough light on the interior of our building, let's take an exterior shot of our building. We'll also take a picture of that other building that's out here to the side of our main building. We'll call it an outbuilding or a garage. And let's try to get some of those trees into the shot. We could place a camera in here, but we'd be better served, since we're going to be taking a picture basically of the site, to do this from the site view. So floor plans and site. The next thing we want to do is come underneath the View tab and select on the words 3D View, because underneath the words 3D View, there's an option to place a camera. Click on the camera, make sure it says level 1, and then offset 5'6". This means we'll be standing at the same elevation as level 1, and we'll be holding the camera 5'6" off of the ground. Move over here and click somewhere in this general area where I'm getting ready to click with this little camera icon. When you do, move over in this direction and try to get as much of your buildings inside of this blue cone as possible. If you can't get them all in, that's okay. We can make adjustments after the fact. The next spot you need to click will be somewhere out here, and make sure that your cursor is just beyond where these trees are located at, so we can get as many of the trees in the shot as possible. And click. When you do, you should see a shot very similar to this. And it's created a new 3D view that we're going to do our rendering for. Now, in this case, I'm seeing a lot of sites, and maybe not everything is centered just the way that I like it. So you can click on any of these control buttons and then drag them from one spot to another. If we wanted to see just a touch more sky, you can raise it up. Or less sky, you can lower it down. Whenever you get it just the way that you like it, zoom in and try to get as much of that scene on your screen. Now we're almost ready to go through the rendering process. But before we're really ready to do a rendering, I usually like to do two things. Come down here to this button that says Visual Style and change this to be shaded. This will show us where all the shade is coming down. This is going to be a very good camera angle for us. In this case, I'm seeing light showing into the building. I'm seeing light coming down and hitting the face of this part of our building. I think that that could make for a fairly dynamic rendering, so I like that. So the next thing is to go back down to that button again, click on Realistic. When you do Realistic, it may take it a few seconds to process depending on the strength of your computer, but you'll then be able to see each of these plants. That'll give you a little bit of feedback whether or not you need to swap out these plants with different species of plant that might look different. Also, it'll tell you whether or not this is the right color of materials as far as the glass, in this case on the curtain wall, or the brick on the outside of our building here. When you get to that point where you have everything set up the way that you'd like to see it, then you're going to be ready for that rendering process.